Welcome back to another project. In this project, we are going to create a new year countdown. As you can see from the final version of the project, we are having a timer that is decreasing and getting closer to 2022. The time that I'm recording this project, it's 2021 December 6th. So 25 days, 2 hours and 50 minutes is left to 2022. We are going to use JavaScript to dynamically create these numbers and get the current time and date from the computer and update it inside this container. In the next section, we're going to start with the HTML part of our project. So see you in the next section. All right, let's start our project. First, we open the Visual Studio Code, and here we close the Get Started tab. In the File menu, we click on the Open folder. I would like to create the project in my desktop, but you can create it anywhere you like in your computer. So here we click on the desktop. Here we click on the New Folder button to create a new folder. We name the folder New Year Countdown, which is the name of our project, and we press enter, and here we click on the select folder to select the folder. We can close the Get Started tab again, and here on the left side in the Explorer section, we create an HTML file. We right click and we click on the new file. We name the file index.html and we press enter. Now we have our index.html file on the right side, which is completely empty, but we can use an exclamation point to have an HTML5 boilerplate. So we write an exclamation point and we click on the first auto suggestion. Now we have our HTML5 boilerplate, which includes doc type at the first line, which tells the browser which version of HTML the page is written in. And we just write HTML as we are using the HTML5. Then we have the HTML tag, which includes the head and the body tags. The HTML tag is the top level element inside the HTML file. And the lang attribute sets the language of the page. As we are using English for our project, we just need to write en for the lang attribute. Then we have the head tag, which includes 3 metadata tags and also 1 title tag. The charset attribute inside the first metadata tag defines the HTML character encoding. And UTF-8, which is recommended by HTML5 for web developers because it contains nearly all the characters and symbols, is chosen for the charset of our project. Then we have the compatibility meta tag, which tells the Internet Explorer browser to use the most recent rendering engine, which is Edge. Then we have the viewport meta tag, which tells the browser on how to resize the page. Let's use Alt-C to turn on the word wrap so we can see all the codes. Then we have the content attribute inside the last metadata tag, which has 2 sections. The first section tells the browser to set the width of the page to the device's screen's width. For example, if we have a mobile screen, the width will be smaller than the computer screen. The second part of the viewport meta tag and the content attribute is setting the initial zoom level of the browser. And as a default, it sets to be 100%. And also we have a title tag here, which sets the title of the page. In order to see the browser inside the Visual Studio Code, we can use the Live Preview extension. We just need to right-click in the index.html file, and we click on Live Preview, Show Preview. Now we have the browser on the right side, which is completely empty, but with the title document. Let's close the Explorer section to have more space on the right side, and let's change the title of the page to the name of our project, which is New Year countdown. So now we can see the change inside the tab of the browser, the new year countdown title. And let's continue for our index.html inside the body section. And we just added h2 tag for heading. And we just write countdown to new year. After that, we add a div with a class of just year because we want to add the year 2022. The time that I'm recording the video is December 2021, and the 2022 is the next year. So I just write 2022, but it depends on when you're watching this video. And you can use 2023. And then we have another div with a class of countdown, which we are writing day, hour, minutes, and seconds. So we have another div inside this div with the ID of day. We just right now just be hard-coded 0. And later we're going to change this one using JavaScript dynamically. So we copy this 3 more times using Alt-Shift arrow down. We change this day to hour. Oh sorry about the language is changed. So this one is hour. Then we have minutes. The last one is second. We just set it to be 0 for now, but we're going to change it dynamically using JavaScript. That was it for the HTML part of our project. In the next section, we're going to start styling our project using CSS. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have finished with the HTML part of our project. In this section, we're going to start styling our project using CSS. First, we need to create a CSS file. So here we click and we open the Explorer section using Ctrl-Shift-E. On the left side, in the Explorer section, we right-click and we click on the new file. And we name the file is style.css and we press enter. Before using CSS in our project, we must add a link to the CSS file within the HTML code. So we go back to index.html and just after the title tag, we add a link tag. We just write link and we click on the third auto suggestion, the one with the CSS. Now we have a link tag with the relationship between the HTML file and the external style sheet. And as both files are located at the same directory, we just need to have style.css for the href or URL of our style sheet. Now we can use CSS in our project, so we just save this file using Ctrl-S. We close the Explorer section to have more space on the right side, and we go to style.css to start styling our project. First, we start with the body section. So we just write body. We open a set of curly braces, and first we remove the default margin of the page. So we just write margin 0. Then let's change the display to flex to be able to bring the contents to the center horizontally. So we just write display flex. Then as the flex direction now is row, we see these things next to each other. We just change the flex direction to column. And now we can use align items center to bring the items to the center horizontally. And then for bring them to the center vertically, we need to first set the height of the page or body section to 100% of the viewport height, which means 100% of the page's height. Then we use justify content center to bring everything to the center vertically. Let's change the font family and change the font of the page using font family property, and we set it to be, for example, cursive. Then we change the background color to be, for example, slate blue, and I think that's enough for the body section. We keep continue styling our project with this H2 and the year. So we target the H2 here. We just write H2. First, we change the color to be white. Then we make the text, we change it to uppercase and make everything capitalized using text transform property, and we use uppercase here. Let's increase the space between each letter using letter spacing, and we set it to be 4 pixels. That's it for this part, H2. Let's style the year 2022. We just target this class. So we just write here, dot here. We open a set of curly braces and we just increase the font size to 5 EM. We change the color to be white and we make it a little bit bold. We use font weight bold. All right. And let's continue with these zeros, which is the day, hour, minutes, and seconds. So first we target this container box or container div that we have here. So we target this using dot countdown. We just missed the T here. We add some margin, 30 pixels to push it a little bit down. And we change the background color to be black, but with 30% transparency. So we can use RGBA function and we set 0 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue, which gives us the black color. And we use 0.1 for 10% transparency. We can see the background color there, but we have to set the width to 100% to see it all the way. Then we change the color of the text to be white. And we change the height to be 120 pixels. And the next thing is just change display to flex to bring these zeros to next to each other. And we can use justify content center to bring everything to the center horizontally, and align items center to bring them to the center vertically. But after this, we can target each of them, each of these numbers using this div. We just say countdown and target each of them. So we just say countdown div, and we just set some margin here. We just say 0 top and bottom and 15 pixels left and right. So we bring them a little bit. We change the font size to be 2.5 EM. And we change the font weight to 500. So yeah, just this one looks fine. And we want these zeros a little bit upper because we want to add some text at the bottom. Here we say day, like hours, minutes, and seconds. So we just change the margin at top to minus 25 pixels. We could change it here as well, but that's fine too. And yeah, that's it. Next, we go to add this like a day, hours, or other things. So we can target them by using these IDs, but first we just need to add some before pseudo element. So we just say dot countdown, and in the div we use this before pseudo element, and first we add the content to be empty, so we cannot see them. So we have to target them separately to see them first, and then we can position them using this one. So here we just write dot countdown, and we target the day first, and the before should have a content, The content would be days. You can see it here now. So we copy this 3 more times using Alt-Shift-Arrow down. And this one would be hour. So here it is hours. Then we have, let's capitalize this. Then we have this day. We just say minutes, a minute. And this one is minutes. This one second. And finally we have seconds here. Now we can style them here, all of them together. We just set the position to be absolute. So this one absolute and relative to its parent, which is here. So we position this one relative. Then we just say bottom to be minus 30 pixels. So they come down a little bit. Then we have left 0. And we change the font size to be 0.35 EM. So we make them a little bit smaller. And we change the line height to be 35 pixels. We also uppercase them using text transform. Text transform uppercase. And we increase the space between each letter using letter spacing 1 pixel. And we change the font weight to be 500. And we change the width to be 100% and height to be 35 pixels. We cannot see these changes, but when we are changing the zoom level of the page, we feel the change. Then we have, in order to bring them in the center, we can add at the top, text align center here. And we change the width here at the parent to be 100 pixels. So they now they have a good space from each other because of this 100 pixels. So we can see the days, hours, and minutes in a better way. Yeah, that was it for the CSS part of our project. In the next section, we are going to use JavaScript to dynamically create the numbers here, and which are the real numbers up to the upcoming year, which is 2022 in my case. So see you in the next section for the JavaScript part of our project. All right, in the last section, we have finished with the CSS part of our project. In this section, we are going to add functionality to our project using JavaScript. First, we need to create a JavaScript file. So we click here and we open the Explorer section using Ctrl-Shift-E. And on the left side in the Explorer section, we right-click and we click on the new file. We name the file index.js and we press enter. Before using JavaScript in our project, we must add a link to the JavaScript file within the HTML code. So we go back to index.html and just at the end of the body section, we add a script tag. We just write SC and we click on the second auto suggestion, the one with the src. As both files, index.html and index.js are located at the same directory, we just need to write index.js for the URL or the destination of the link. We can close the Explorer section now because we don't need it anymore and we can have more space on the right side now. And we save this file using Ctrl-S and we start using JavaScript in our project by just bringing some items and elements to the JavaScript. The elements we need is this 0 for days, hours, minutes, and seconds, because we are going to change them dynamically using JavaScript. So this div here has an ID of day, and the other one is hour, minute, and the last one is second. In order to return an element with the attributes, with the ID attribute, we can use getElementById method inside JavaScript. So inside index.js, we create a constant. We call it day element. And we just say document.getElementById method to return that element. And the ID was the ID of the element was day. We can use Alt-C to turn on the word wrap so we can see all the codes. And we close this one a little bit. Let's bring this countdown to new to the center as well. That was H2. So we just say text align center. And also we can remove these scroll bars using overflow hidden inside body section. All right. So everything's fine. We just go to index.js to continue bringing the elements. The next element we want to bring is our. So we just say our element equal to document.getElementById, and the ID is our. So we keep continue for the minute element. We create a const. We just say document.getElementById, and the ID here is minute. Next is second. So we just say we create a constant. We call it second element, and we equal it to document.getElementById, and the ID is going to be second. All right, now we have everything. The only things we need is to get the data from our computer and get the current date and also the date of the first day of the 2022. All right, so we can get that one using new date constructor, the date constructor. So we just say new year date and equal to new date constructor, and the date is January 1st, 2022 in my case, and the time is 0, 0, and 0 because it's at the midnight. All right, and we have to use the getTime method to get the time for that exact date. So the getTime is we use the getTime, and we create a function here to create the new year, the countdown. So we call the function update countdown. We just need to call this function at the top. So when the page is loaded, we're going to use it. So we add an extra A here, we delete it. So now we want to get the time now. The time is now 5:56 p.m. and also the date is 6th of December 2021, the time that I'm recording this video. So we just get this one. We just say const now, and we equal it to new date. And the date is just current, so we put it empty. If you put it empty, we just get the current time. And we use the getTime method again. So now, we just check now by using console log. We open the console. This one is just a second, it's based on second. So if you refresh the page, we see a new number. Each time we get a new number and based on seconds. So each time a few seconds pass and then we get a different number. And also if we console log the new year date, so new year date, so we are getting 2 times. So the new year is this one is always the same. If you refresh the page, we always get the same number for the new year, but the current time is always changing. Yeah, let's list this one. And instead of saying new year date, we just say new year time to make more sense. And then we have a gap between now and the new year time. So we create another constant and we call it gap. And gap is this new year time minus now. And the gap is always getting smaller because the new year is constant and now is getting bigger because every second is going up. We can check it by console logging the gap, and we open the console here. Now the gap is this much, and then we refresh it, it gets smaller because it's 63. Here it becomes 55. And each time we refresh the page, we get a smaller gap because the now is getting bigger and this one is constant. All right. Now we can create the second, minutes, hour, and days. The things I mentioned, this number, the New Year time, and also now is based on milliseconds. So in order to create the second would be 1,000 milliseconds would be 1 second. So we create a constant called second, which is 1,000, and then another constant is minute is equal to second multiplied to 60. It's actually 60,000 milliseconds. The next one would be hour, and hour is equal to minutes multiplied to 60 as well. And finally, we have day, which is hour multiplied to 24. So we have 24 hours each day. So now we have second, minutes, hour, and day. And finally, we can calculate the remaining days to the new year. So we created here, we just name the day. We just say remaining day. We just call it D, and we equal it to math.floor because it's a fraction, because we want to divide gap over day. So this one sometimes becomes not rounded, so we use math.floor. We can console log and check the D. You see the D is 25. If we didn't use math.floor, it would be 25.12 because each second is changing, as you can see here. But we don't want this remaining because the remaining would be the minutes, hours, and days. So we just get the floor and then we use the remaining for the rest. So the next one would be hour. The hour would be the math.floor. Let's change this math.floor to. So math.floor of the remaining of the gap. So the remaining of the gap over day. So we get the remaining here by using gap percentage day. This means this is the residual of this division, and we divide this over hour. So now if we console log hour, we see that we get 2. So we have 25 days and 2 hours left to the new year. But because we floor this number, this one has the remaining 2. The remaining would be hour and day. So we create another constant and we call it minutes, and this would be math.floor, and this one is the remaining of the gap over hour. So this is the residual of the gap over hour, and this one is over minutes. And finally, we have second, which is, if we follow the pattern, this won't be the residual of the previous one. So we have gap, the residual of the gap over minute, and this one over second. Now we have day, hour, minute, and second. We just need to put them inside these elements that we brought here. So the first one is day. So we just say day element dot inner text, and we equal it to D. We can see it here, 25 days. The next one is hour element dot inner text, and we equal it to H. We can see 2. Then we have minutes element dot inner text equal to M, which is 54 minutes. And then we have finally second dot inner text, which is equal to S. As you can see, Now we have 25 days, 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 57 seconds left. And each time we refresh, we get lower amount because we are getting closer to 2022. But we cannot refresh it each time. For a user to see the new number, we can use the set timeout method to set a timer to execute a function after the timer expires. So here we create a set timeout method, and the set timeout method is gonna call this function update countdown every 1 second. So 1 second would be 1000 milliseconds. So now we can see every second this number is refreshing and this function is being called inside the JavaScript. So we always get the new number in the seconds. That was it for our project. I hope you enjoyed and learned many things. See you in the next project.